watching. Thanks for coming here. We are, relax, please. We're here at our home in Hollywood. We're just across the street from the Dolby Theater, which was the site of the most dramatic moment in Oscar, maybe even television history. The Willy in Manila, as it's being called, it is turning out to be this generation's version of the moon landing. Was it a crime? Was it staged? Is it the end of comedy? Is it cake? We don't know. Unless you've been living under a Chris Rock, you know the story. We all do. People living in igloos know the story. But the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Scientists, they're not jumping to any conclusions. They've begun what they call their official review. The president and CEO of the Academy sent a letter to members, says it'll take them a few weeks to complete their investigation of this incident. And a lot of people are wondering why it will take a few weeks to investigate something we all saw happen in real time. You have to remember, it takes these people 4 hours to hand out 8 awards. So they're in no rush. They do one thing a year, and that's it. But you know what they say, it's an honor just to be investigated, and they vowed to take appropriate action. So now the question is, what are they going to do? They're going to suspend Will Smith's membership or maybe even take his Oscar away? I don't think they should do either of those things. I really don't. If the Academy wants to punish Will Smith, you know what they should do? I have the idea. They should make him host the red carpet interviews for E! next year. Let him stand outside asking Olivia Colman, who designed her purse, for 4 hours. Or maybe for 10 years, he's not allowed to star in anything good. No big franchises, no big directors. The Academy sentences you to 1 decade of Hallmark Christmas movies. Right? They also, so the Academy released a statement in the morning, and they released a second statement not long ago that had a surprise in it. It said Mr. Smith was asked to leave the ceremony and refused, which is a new nugget. I don't know who asked him to leave. Maybe Jazzy Jeff asked him? I don't know. Hey, Jazzy, can you pass a message along to Will? Can you imagine who would have accepted his Oscar if he'd been thrown out? Chris Rock, maybe? I don't know. You know, usually when someone's asked to leave and refuses to go, that's when security comes in and takes that person away. But in this case, they decided to give him an Oscar and let him back on stage to speak. We're all feeling the repercussions of this slap. It's not just Chris Rock. My jaw hurts just from telling so many jokes about it at this point. Many notables have spoken out and condemned both what Will Smith did and also those in the audience who gave him a standing ovation after he did it, including a famous athlete who's been the subject of some Chris Rock jokes himself.
The question I've been getting is Will Smith from Chris Rock. Hey, look, it was unfortunate. I think Will was wrong. Look, I understood the feeling. Now, in my life, I've been through a lot of crap, and I was raising 2 young kids, and every comedian in the country had an OJ routine, and don't think I wouldn't want to be slapped a couple of those guys, but you got to accept it's humor, and I didn't even think that was all that egregious.
Okay, so when OJ's giving you a lecture on self-control, that is, I didn't look it up, but I believe that's the very definition of egregious.
I know this. After what happened to me in Las Vegas, if I would have done that in front of 1 billion people watching around the world, they would have given me life without. I'm just saying. Hey, take care.
Just in case you're unaware that the world's upside down, we have OJ now claiming someone else got off easy. I'm just saying. One of the unintended effects of what happened on Sunday is that Chris Rock's ticket sales are up. He's got a show in Boston tonight. I went on StubHub. The tickets are crazy expensive. It's $886 for a balcony seat, $1,705 for mezzanine. By the end of this tour, Chris Rock will have enough money to actually produce G.I. Jane 2. The next Academy Awards is almost a year away. It's a long way off, but we already have a contender for Best Picture thanks to a poorly timed green screen setup on school photo day at Sugar Grove Elementary in Greenwood, Indiana.
Spring Picture Day was postponed twice by bad weather and landed on St. Patrick's Day, when, of course, almost everyone wore green.
Honestly, I just couldn't wait to see other parents' pictures, and it ended up being just a hilarious fiasco, just because it's just so funny.
Like the girl who became one with the flower bed, the boy's head popping out of a farm field, or the boys separated by a dirt road.
He was just laughing because it looks like, he's a fence, or it looks like he's a field. So he thought it was really funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it is very funny. This may have involved some green screen magic. Kim Jong-un is feeling left out, I guess, with all the focus on Russia and Ukraine. So he wanted to remind people that he has nuclear warheads, too. So they made a video starring Slim Kim with his big new mega missile, directed, I can only assume, by the funniest person in North Korea. That's what happens after you've executed anyone who even slightly disagrees with you. You can't, all of a sudden you're in the worst Michael Bay movie ever. So this video, I guess it was, I don't know, intended to scare us and inspire the North Korean people, but it also turns out to make for a pretty damn fine erectile dysfunction commercial.
No man likes to wait. You want the action to happen on your terms. That's why you need Cialis. With Cialis, you control the launch. At any moment's notice, command your physician to prescribe Cialis for you. Don't take Cialis if you're currently in a coma and using a body double for public appearances. Side effects may include irritability, bloating, man-kinkles, and cheese foot. Deploy your warhead with Cialis.
I don't know what cheese foot is, but it sounds delicious. Meanwhile, Kim Jong-un's old pal Donald is busy talking to anyone who might sit there and nod in agreement. He did an interview with something called Real America's Voice, which might not even be a real thing, but he was there to ask two sycophants the same question over and over and over again.
Why did the mayor of Moscow's wife give the Bidens, both of them, $3.5 million? Why did the mayor of Moscow's wife give the Biden family $3.5 million? Why is it that the mayor of Moscow's wife gave the Biden family $3.5 million?
And one other question, and it's a little off topic. Why is it that the mayor of Moscow's wife... This story about this $3.5 million, there's no evidence to back it up. Not only that, remember back in 2016 when Trump asked Russia to find Hillary Clinton's emails? And when he tried to extort the president of Ukraine to manufacture information about Hunter Biden? Well, for that one, he got impeached. But now he's asking Vladimir Putin to release dirt on the Bidens in the middle of a war. He wants our enemy to dig up damaging information about our president while he is attacking Ukraine. And he doesn't see anything wrong with this. The whole free world is trying to stop Putin. Trump's like, hey, you got anything on the president's crackhead son I could use? I really appreciate it. Meanwhile, his own son's in the basement making videos that look like the last 20 minutes of Goodfellas. And on top of that, the New York State Attorney General's office says they've uncovered significant evidence that for more than a decade, the Trump organization overvalued real estate assets and made misleading financial statements. For example, the Trump organization valued some apartments they owned at $49 million when they were actually only worth $750,000. When questioned about this valuation, the CFO of Trump Org, Alan Weisselberg, admitted that the apartment's value had been overstated by give or take $200 million. We're talking about Trump here, so I'm guessing it was take, not give, but he even overstated the size of his apartment. He said his apartment was 30,000 square feet, when the truth is it was under 10,000 square feet. He's claiming his apartment was a grower, not a shower, basically, which is, what a life. He never stops lying. I'm surprised he doesn't go around saying he's 11 feet tall. This is good. For those who think Trump's a regular guy, he's been trying to pin these supply chain issues on Joe Biden, but when his brain attempts to generate a specific example of a store that is out of products, this is what he comes up with.
They don't have things. You go to buy something at Tiffany, you go to buy something at a hardware store, high, low. They don't have product.
Right, Tiffany's and a hardware store. Name one hardware store, by the way, just one. The only two things Donald Trump buys are tennis bracelets and plungers, so, and this wasn't the only instance. He did the same thing at a rally in Georgia over the weekend.
Who the hell ever heard of this stuff? You go to the stores, and the stores are
The cupboards are empty. You go into Tiffany, and where is your ego? Sir, we think we can have it in the next 7 to 8 months. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I got a hooker waiting for a bracelet. So down to earth. Just a regular guy. Donald Trump spends more time thinking about Tiffany the store than Tiffany the daughter. And thanks to Trump, we've got a whole junior army of knuckleheads running around this country. In the Nebraska state legislature, they were debating a bill that was meant to help children with behavioral issues. A state senator named Bruce Bosselman decided to go all in on what turned out to be a made-up story about kids who identify as furries in school.
I'm a little shocked, I guess is what I would put it. It's called something called furries. If you don't know what furries are, it's where school children dress up as animals, cats or dogs, during the school day. They meow and they bark, and they interact with their school, with the teachers and that in this fashion. And now schools are wanting to put litter boxes in the schools for these children to use. How is this sanitary?
You'd rather they go in the sandbox? They're animals, not animals. Bruce obviously gets his news from a Facebook page with a picture of an eagle carrying a machine gun on it. But the fact that he would believe this is confusing, to say the least. But there's nobody more confused than he is.
I even heard from one person here recently who said that a student identified as a cat and wanted a litter box. And the school didn't provide the litter box, so the student went ahead and defecated on the floor. Really? Really?
Yeah. No, not really. But you do look cute. To his credit, he, after getting lambasted online, he apologized and acknowledged that the story was untrue. And then he licked himself clean. So maybe there's hope for him yet. I don't know. The FDA is now recommending a second booster shot for adults over the age of 50 years old. President Biden, who is, I think, about 50 years over the age of 50, got his second booster this afternoon. Biden says the government now has the means to protect us. The virus no longer controls our lives, and we've reached a new moment in the pandemic, which is good because the old moments have been terrible. But we have made progress when it comes to the coronavirus, and every now and then we like to look back to remember how far we've come, and we're doing it again in an end of March edition of This Month in COVID History.
This month in COVID history, travel with us through the ages 1 year ago. The new president is really stepping up. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. Well, have a nice trip. And don't forget your vaccine passport.
You will want to get that CDC card. That is going to be your golden ticket for 2021.
We've got a golden ticket. Or not.
Does anybody in this restaurant think it's a good idea to take the vaccine? Raise your hand if you think it's a good idea. Anyone here, it's a good idea to take the vaccine? Raise your hand if you think it's a good idea.
This has been diners, drive-ins, and dying. Amber Alert! Congressman Gates has thoughts.
I'm not the only person on screen right now who's been falsely accused of a terrible sex act. You and I went to dinner about 2 years ago. I brought a friend of mine. You'll remember her.
I don't remember the woman you're speaking of.
She was the one who asked for crayons. Now let's gather around the squawk box for the QAnon Radio Hour. Grab your decoder rings. Q has a new message.
Donald Trump will become president on March 4th.
Start spreading the Qs.
On March 4th, Trump will be reinstated as president.
Trump will take office on March 4th.
He is inaugurated on March 4th.
Are you going to feel foolish on March 5th when Biden's still president?
Then Trump has a different plan.
He is hoping it's a retirement plan. This has been This Month in COVID History.
Congratulations on making it to the end of a YouTube video. Why not celebrate by clicking the subscribe button? You earned it.